Welcome back to Champ Talk. We are back in the saddle again, and I'm so excited to let you know that Mr. Chet is in the building. Chet, it's good to see you again.
You too, buddy.
I can't even get through the intro. I'm so excited to have you here, man.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Gosh, man, it's been so long. Chet has been busy doing other things.
Yeah.
And we've had guests, and then we have gets canceled, and then we have solos, and we've had all these things. So it's great to have Chet back in the seat.
The word is pivot, right?
Yeah, I hope you turn that phone on silent because you get distracted too much when that daggone phone
silent.
calls.
That's what I was doing. Make sure.
Guys, this episode of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson is brought to you by WealthWave. Holla at Brittany Ballard for all your financial literacy needs. She is the GOAT in getting people money, okay? She knows how to get people where they need to be. Her business is very integrous. She has a lot of integrity in her business, and she's just a great person to be aligned with, man. I've been very blessed and very beneficial. It's been beneficial with our friendship, and I love what she does in business. Also, she's a hell of a go-getter. If you guys get value from this episode, please like and subscribe to the channels. Whatever channel it is, or wherever platform you're listening to or watching, just give us a review. If you know somebody who can get value from this, please send it over. Man, it really means a lot for us. It helps us get recognized and more visibility in the search engines, and we just want to give as much value and as much free content as we possibly can to help out our people. So, with all due respect, sir, where the hell have you been?
I don't know. I feel like I've been okay. So I have this little box that I fit into at the Maryland Delaware group, and then somebody comes in, they just let me out, and they wind me. I've got this thing on my back. They just wind me up, let me go, and then I come over here, and then I say goodnight to everybody and lock up, and I go back to my little.
I get it.
Been busy. I don't know. You've had some guests or like in some can't. So yeah, we've been back and forth, but yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back on, man. We've got a good episode for you. By the way, YouTube, you motherfuckers won again. Okay, you guys won again. All right. Look, man, if you're wondering what these marks on my face are, no, I don't have a meth addiction. Sorry to disappoint you. What I do have is
I probably look like I do today.
Well, you sound like it. Yeah.
I know. Like I was gonna say, we didn't fight over an episode of the podcast or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do?
Oh,
I was just hanging out outside, and
well, everybody's heard all the stories about quote unquote big bad Branden Hudson and all the many street fights that I've been into that I can't even keep count of, and been gashed open and cut open, and all the training in MMA and all that stuff. Well, oddly enough, Sir Chet, I've never had stitches in my life ever, and
just a fucked up eyeball.
Just fucked up eyeball. I've had a couple surgeries. I've had my nose fixed on my face. I've had detached retina surgery. I've had some broken bones, torn ligaments. I've never had stitches until last week. Last week, I had the honor of getting these moles. So, for those that are watching, exhibit number 1, my third eye. Exhibit number 2, my additional boogie. I've had these moles removed. And I didn't realize how extensive the mole removal process is, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
they literally cut it around it, like deep as I don't know what. And you can feel it as you're numb, and they're pulling on it or snatching. I mean, it was crazy. But why the internet won? YouTube. Why you guys got me? Is all these years I never even cared about the moles. They didn't bother me. I enjoyed them. They were cool. Me and my kids would do little boop and beep buttons on my face. And my wife was, and my third eye actually got knocked off one time sparring many years ago and grew back bigger, right? And my wife had just said something like, "Hey, when you ever gonna get these moles removed?" And I never thought about it. So I went back and forth, and we did one video, and some comment, shout out to you because you got me. He said, "God's sakes, will you pop that thing already?"
That was a zit.
And I had no zits on my face, right? So I'm like, oh, he got me. So then that stayed intrusively in my head for about 2 weeks, and I was like, all right, let's just go. Plus, it was definitely getting bigger, and I was a little concerned about it. So anyway, for those that are watching, it's not a meth addiction. It's just mole removal. I don't have it. None of my stories are cool. I never have any of these cool stories. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm going to glow up, man. I got my hair cut. Got the moles removed, get my teeth fixed. Man, I'm just going to glow up on these people. You know what I mean? Just come around here and do my thing. But yeah, that's the exciting life of Branden Hudson at 44 years old. We're now talking about mole removals to see if they're benign.
And next, you need massages and the mani-pedis every week.
No, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming.
It's okay. You deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chet.
You work hard. You deserve that.
So I got an interesting topic I want to talk about. We're constantly talking about many things here on Champ Talk. We're not limited to anything. We talk about when I bring other guests on, other entrepreneurs or business owners and community figures and things like that. I'm always highlighting the things that they're doing and the great things, especially on the business side of it. And I wouldn't say this is necessarily a business podcast. I think this is more of a mindset entertainment podcast than anything else. I don't know. I don't know what this shit is anymore. But
I know what it isn't. And I remember what it used to be.
True.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's very, very thankful it isn't what it used to be. But I do want to highlight, you know what I mean? I do want to highlight people that are doing things and making moves. And I figure we're no different. SBY MMA and fitness is really no different from, the entrepreneurial success story and journey. And I wanted to highlight a couple of things and talk about some of the things that are really working for me and us at the gym and what we're able to do to ultimately reach more people, sign more people up for some schematics purposes. And I'm not trying to flex here. I'm just trying to give people that are in the combat sports space or even in the business space some idea. It's very, very difficult to get people to sign up to a combat sports gym.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people struggle with, anxieties of what they expect when they get in there and, what, if they're going to kill you and beat you up and all that stuff. And
that was one of these would come up in conversation when I was in advertising sales depending on what the service or product was, you have to explain that, hey, you might not have people rushing your door and blowing up your phones because what you have isn't like the same thing as people going out to eat lunch or dinner every week or something that is more consistent like that in a smaller ticket item versus something they really need to think about, consider, do a little homework, digest, try out. So yeah, it's definitely different in that aspect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, getting people to go to a combat sports gym is like getting them to go to church. It's a very difficult flex. Also, it is a big ticket item. It's a luxury ticket item, I should say. Not everybody has a few $100 a month to shell out to go and basically twist people's limbs and kick and punch each other and go through the trenches of what combat sports is. And we've spent so many episodes and so much time on the mental, physical health benefits of what combat sports does for you. So I don't want to belabor that point today. I want to really focus on the business side of it and how that it's been for us to be able to overcome those objectives. I mean, again, getting people to come out to sign up for a combat sports gym. And again, we're talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're talking about Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, karate, judo, all of the fun loving combat sports that you have. Not necessarily like traditional karate or traditional martial arts, nothing. I'm not, there's a big fight about, this versus that in a lot of spaces. I'm not going to
I might even touch on that, but I'm not.
I'm not going to bash anybody in what they do in martial arts. Everything has its holes, and we're seeing some of the same problems that we see in traditional martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too.
Correct.
across the board. So, but there is this thing where is it practical or not? And traditional martial arts like Kung Fu and ninjutsu and Mike Stewart. I like Mike Stewart a lot. He put a video out expressing his disdain for the the arts, and he made a lot of very, very strong points.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think he was like 99.999% dead on.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I say, like, and it's not really contradicting it. I think the intent, if you're going to do a certain style and as an art, that's a big difference. As long as there's no misconception, hey, you're going to leave here a black belt at 16 and you'll be able to handle anybody you come in contact with, versus we're going to teach you how to use weapons and you're going to be able to do it to music. And it's, you know what I mean? So as long as there's, what you're getting into, I think that's a big difference. Now, some people can be sucked into something. And it's not what they think, and they're not told any different. And there are those, and it is dangerous. It is. I mean, it's really dangerous.
Sure.
Here's
well, I think Mike did a good job of
explaining all of it.
And really saying, hey, look, if you want to, and we tell the adults here for our karate program, if you want to learn that, you're going to get, you're going to get some good stuff from it.
Well, I think even within those styles though, there's differences too. Cause like our karate program, is definitely different than other ones that I've seen and know about. And it's not about, the belt testing fees and buy this, this curriculum and, and then we're going to say, yeah, you're the 12-year-old black belt. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you've had experience with program. I don't mean to cut you off, but you've had experience with running a martial arts program where it just seems so. It seems so. And again, to my karate folks out there, my traditional martial arts. I'm not trying to come at anybody here. This is not even the point of this this episode. We're just tagging on a couple of side points. But you've been in witness of, taekwondo programs a taekwondo program, for instance, that they tested every month. Every test was $100.
It went from traditional to tapping into a system that they thought was a great system. And curriculum wise, it wasn't so bad. But Mike talks about the cult-like experience. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like when you realize, like, oh shit, that's exactly what's going on. That is the vibe. All of it.
Shout out to Mike Stewart, man. That guy's. I love what he's doing, man. I got to give him a shout out, man. I learned a lot from him.
But he's also speaking from experience because he said he was in ninjutsu or whatever so same kind of thing. And then you're like, yeah, that is kind of what's going on here. And then watering it down, and and then there's camouflage belts and pink belts and purple belts and glitter belts and whatever belts you can add onto it, and it's like
it's a little out of hand.
Yeah, what are we doing here other than collecting testing fees and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, shit. What, you got 100 students testing a month for $100? I mean, that's not a bad.
No, I mean, if you need a different kind of daycare where the kids are still staying active or something like that. So I'm not trying to shit on the whole thing, sure. But yeah, there are those elements out there. But what I was getting to, what's different, like I know with our karate program, and I didn't know till I got in here and was and saw it, was definitely not some bullshit style, very practical and lots of self-defense, and then also incorporating judo. And so I know, and just from experience and seeing what the kids actually do, they actually spar for real. Mm-hmm. Not I'm gonna touch you, and So there are differences even within those traditional arts where I think they're still beneficial.
Yeah, well, one of the things Eric and we talked about, Eric, who runs the karate program here, is we didn't want it to become watered down. Mm-hmm. And so here's your next lesson, your first lesson, excuse me, for if you've got like a multi-disciplined combat sports, right? For us, we didn't want it to be watered down and become that kind of example. So, but here's the conundrum on that, and here's what people need to understand, is that you're not going to have kids that are just going to want to do any other thing. They're not going to want to. Some kids do not want to grapple and wrestle and be in that kind of space.
Right.
Does that contradict if they've gotten bullied or if they've gotten picked on? Of course, yes. A fight is a fight, and I want to be very clear here. None of it works. Like no martial art works. Okay. All of it doesn't work if you don't train. Okay. If you don't sit here and train jiu-jitsu, train Muay Thai, train boxing, train karate, train these things consistently, right, and training them in an element where you're sparring and you're going battle tested, then I don't give a shit who you are. You're not going to be able to have the muscle memory to react in a high pressure situation or when the stakes are on the line. So, but you're not going to have these kids that, they may be on the spectrum. They may be highly functional, you know what I mean, with on the spectrum. They may just be very nervous. I'll tell you a prime example. When I first started playing football in elementary school, man, I got cracked one good time. I said, fuck this shit. And I thought I was a tough kid. And I didn't come back to it until middle school because my friends were doing it, right? That's kind of the same way. Some kids just are not ready for that physicality or that next level of violence that the other ones provide, right? And I'll tell you this right now, it's funny as hell for me. If you look at the comparison of the two, and I'm going to get yelled at for this one, but
I know what you can say.
Our jiu-jitsu kids are physically tougher than our karate kids, right? But our karate kids are mentally tougher than our jiu-jitsu kids. It's the weirdest thing ever, right? It's one of those things. And that's our program. I'm not coming at anybody. So right. I know we got the Eastern Shore MMA police around here that, would want to come at me about one of the things I say. But anyway, as we attempt to do a podcast. But anyway, but no, what I'm trying to say is like, there's different strokes for different folks. And for us, if you don't have a a wrestling type of kid and you got more of a punchy, kicky kid, we're going to stick them in karate, especially when they're younger, right? It's an introductory type of martial art. Hey, let's teach them gym etiquette. Let's teach them some kicks. We do follow a curriculum, but I'll be the first to say a lot of it is outdated stuff that just isn't practical. And Eric and Dante do a great job, and Dion do a great job of bringing the practicality of combat to the karate program so that we can install confidence and other things. See, I'm not so focused on the self-defense aspect. And I think that's where a lot of gym owners or combat sports owners go wrong. They're so heavily focused on or they have gone wrong. They're so heavily focused on the self-defense aspect of it that they forget all the character building side of it. They forget all the personal development, the leadership, right, the confidence and things like that. Because let's be honest. When are we ever using it? When are we ever using this self-defense that we have, right? Like, dude, I rarely ever get a chance to do what I know, right? And that's most cases. I'm more of situational awareness.
But you probably have more instances where you've been able to de-escalate
correct
situation
correct.
And because of
my training.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a missing element, right? That people, and again, I'm not saying the self-defense aspect isn't important. That's a very, very, very important factor of it. We want to be able to defend ourselves. We want that confidence of what it's like to be able to, not worry about having to fight. I go into a room, and I don't say this being cocky, but, I go into most rooms, knowing that I'm good. If it popped off, I'm good. You know what I mean? I can go to the depths. I'm not saying I'm going to beat everybody up. I'm just saying I'm good. You know what I mean? Even in a room full of tough guys, mm-hmm, right? Or other people in the space, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be the first victim in the corner. You know what I mean? I'm going to be towards the last. So that's what martial arts
and everybody will just be there with their phones out. So.
Correct. Well, yeah, they will, and that's what discipline or that's what combat sports gives you, right? But I think that for us, we're able to introduce them to combat sports. How many kids, Chet, have you witnessed that started in karate, get their confidence up, learn how to gym etiquette, learn how to, get through some tough situations, mm-hmm, and transition into kickboxing, jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we've got a ton of these kids. So it's a great introductory thing. But again, you can't water it down and teach people and set people up with false expectations that, hey, this is going to help you out. And this is the master death touch that we just don't tell anybody. And it's super sacred. And that's bullshit.
No, you go through it. And then when you're 18, you take your black belt test and you fight adults and beat you up and down the mat until you cry and have a moment. And, you're 18. It's a little different. And I'd say that because, I've watched a couple of the black belt tests too, mm-hmm, for, 18-year-olds, man. It's not, It's way different. I'll just say it's way different than a lot of other systems and styles. Yeah. Because it's real. It's practical.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying it's, out there killing people, but
no,
but it's not, you're not just going through the motions and then, buying a black belt. So,
well, because we want to make sure that these kids are prepared. We're not going to water down. We're MMA school. You know what I mean? I want to make that clear to all of my fans out there here locally that have something to say. We're an MMA school. We don't claim to be just a sole jiu-jitsu school. We don't claim to be a sole kickboxing school or boxing. We're a mixed martial arts school. We focus on preparing our fighters for cage fights. That's why we're the most active on the Eastern Shore. That's why we produced massive champions. I don't know, maybe the most. And we don't care about all your gym politics and all this stuff. We're here to create champions and create people, leaders in the community. So,
and kind of jumping all over here, but then there's also I don't say the other side, but there's the component too of, people have been with you the longest or conditioning classes.
Oh yeah.
And, talk about toughness, mental toughness and stuff people have been through.
Are you talking about my grandmothers?
I'm talking, yeah. I mean, there's some of the toughest people.
My grandmothers will beat the shit out of the gimp in the box right now, any day. And supposedly the gimp wrestled in high school. My grandmothers will beat your ass, gimp. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, they'll just tire you out. I mean,
Yeah.
First thing, I mean, the conditioning. So there's that aspect of it too. People that don't necessarily want that,
Yep.
but they're here building a different kind of toughness and probably things they don't even realize. They probably could whip a lot of people's asses, but at the same time, they're and that's why they've been here because of the relationships that they forged, because of what they get out of it. emotionally, spiritually, all of that stuff, mentally, and not just the physical part of it. So
Well, it's a great point you make, because there's been so many of those folks that started off in the conditioning package and then transitioned it into the more of the discipline. So, lesson number 2 is having, the ability, because not everybody can have the ability like we do to have people that are able to, have the personnel to be able to do all these classes and teach all these different disciplines.
and probably not everybody should, because if they're specializing in one
Correct.
thing, that's
Correct.
your deal.
Correct. But that's a big thing for us, is we'll do a conditioning package where they can come in and just work out like a fighter. They don't have to learn not everybody wants to learn how to fight.
Right.
A lot of people just want to come in and hit those bags and be told, give some pointers and give some, give a couple pointers on how to do a little bit technique right. Because we don't want them just, wailing on them and looking
But they're also
ridiculous.
some of the most supportive people, of the people that actually get in the cage and get in the ring.
Correct.
And the
But what I'm saying is that's another way for gyms to make revenue.
Correct.
Is to have these, because everybody's doing conditioning anyway. If you're doing conditioning anyway with your fighters, why wouldn't you just have that class on that particular one minus the combat, or the actual sparring, have that involved? It's a great way to add money to your bottom line. It's a great way to have a pipeline of people for private sessions or to become students in the bigger packages and things like that. And it just gives you more visibility, because along with what you just said, all of the support that they give you, that's not just the support of showing up to the fights. That's the social media support. They're going on social media. They're talking about their favorite coach. They're talking about their experience.
Right.
They're telling their coworkers. They're telling their family members, and they're bringing people in to add to your gym. So for some schematics, just to give you guys a heads up, we've hovered around. When we started, when I started, I had 5 people, and we were all just training together. So they weren't even, they were just with us. And then as we grew and came over here to Pure Fitness, we were in a very small space. We absorbed Southside Jiu-Jitsu. Miles Moffitt's, I was doing jiu-jitsu with him.
Right.
And he ended up wanting to join forces with me, so we absorbed that company. You know what I mean? So it's powered by SBY, and that's our jiu-jitsu program. And Miles Scoochie Moffitt is who we're talking about. Scoochie had about 90 students that he brought us. Right. So we added to that. We had a good little bump up to about 130 students when we first started, which is a great way to start. I mean,
for sure.
That was huge, and we are actually least, at this point, 10,000 square feet from Pure Fitness. And we've talked about that on different podcasts. But then when we went upstairs and we got into that small space, the 3,000 square feet, we hit about 200 members, and we kind of got to a point where we were capped out. Right. We didn't have enough space to cater to everybody. The class times were kind of overlapping in an uncomfortable way,
right,
because we only had like this little walkway of people to come in between the ring, the bag rigs, and the mats. And we were due to expand. Right now, was I ready for the expansion? Absolutely not. But like most entrepreneurs, we jump off the cliff in ensemble or parachute on the way down. But what happened was as we got into that space, to the bigger space, that's when we really realized, like, okay, cool. We need to, we need to make sure that we are looking like a business and acting like a business.
Right.
So, one of the things I had to do right away is, even though I couldn't afford it, I had to figure it out. I had to sit here and hire a front desk. You have to have a front desk personnel. You have to have somebody that's presentable, that's in the mix of things, that knows the business, that's a part of the business, that can talk and sell, that is, a people's person, a salesperson. You have to have them up front, because you can't teach class, and I made this mistake so many times, you can't teach class and sign members up at the same time. No. Very, very unprofessional.
Unprofessional.
Very, very,
very difficult.
Very difficult. I've done it so many times. Fridays still get me sometimes. But yeah, that's a big thing. And then that'll allude to the other side of it, right? To the other things. There's also some tedious things that we do, duties that we do as business owners that do not serve us or are not conducive to growing a business. In other words, if I hate writing reports or creating spreadsheets, right? If that's something I'm very slow at, it's very monotonous, I don't like it, I shouldn't be doing that job, because that's taking me away from places that I could be making more money and generate more revenue and adding more value and more to the club. So I need to hire somebody to do something like that. You know what I mean? But as a business owner in any business, especially in the combat sports world, because that's what I'm familiar with, It's so scary to relinquish control of your business that you sat here and you poured blood, sweat, and tears into to someone else to close deals, to answer phone calls, to get people sold with geese and things like that. And there's going to be a ton of eggs broken in the process. I mean, it's just,
and it's the stuff, even though the stuff you're good at and you can do, it's like, you can't split yourself and you can't clone yourself. And that's, now you can, bring other people on and show, this is the way I do it. This is the way it's been working. And then through trial and error, maybe you find better systems and all that good stuff. But yeah, it can be painful and unnerving and scary and all of that stuff.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's just a part of it. And look, no, you're never going to find 100% you. And I think gym owners make that mistake. They try to find someone close enough to them that they can give the reins to. If you could just find a 60% you and hire two of them, now you got 120% you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like now you've got two people. In my case, I have three people, including yourself, that help me run this organization and take so much of the burden off my back. And that's challenging, man. That is challenging because, a lot of times these people are your friends because they're part of the club. A lot of times these people you have personal relationships with. I mean, shit, like you three are, I made the ultra mistake in business by hiring the three people that I did, you know what I mean? My wife's best friend, who's a really good friend of mine, my childhood best friend, and Chet, my dear life partner, Chet. I mean, dude, but we've gone into this agreement with an understanding of, hey, what happens in business is business, and our emotions that we have with each other in business stay emotional in business. When it's personal time, we take the hat off. I just had a moment just now with one of our people, and I said, hey, let me put the business side aside, put the business stuff aside. Are you okay? Do you need me as a friend?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's I think helpful for clear-cut communication. But you have to get rid of the duties that you're doing if you want to become profitable, because you're wasting so much time doing things that you've already outgrown that you can help someone else make a living do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think a lot of people misunderstand is, like, when you're a business owner, you're helping other people make a living. Like, where I look at, maybe, where I could potentially look at spreadsheets is like the worst thing ever. You might say, fucking hey, you'll pay me to do that? Absolutely. I'm already doing them. You know what I mean? It's like, you're helping, you're stimulating the economy, you're helping people. It's a win-win. Another big thing, and none of this is in order. I'm just kind of jumping around right now, but it kind of piggybacks is standard operating procedures. SOPs will make or break a business. If you have to spend time retraining personnel, repeating yourself on things that, you've told them once, 2, 3, 4 times, new hires, all the above, then you are, again, wasting more time and more efforts. You should have SOPs for everything. How you open the gym, how you clean the mats, how you take payments, how you sign people up, how you teach class, how you pay your people. Like, every single aspect of your
when to change
business.
The music.
When to change the music. Yes, it's a big one we have right now. It seems to be the roaring 20s in here again. Every single aspect of your business needs to be documented and processed and written out or videoed or stuff. There's a lot of hacks that, that are out there. I know a handful of them. If you ever have any questions, thoughts, anybody listening to this, anybody any questions, please reach out. Don't feel like you don't have the ability to ask these questions. I love to help. Reach out. I'll be more than happy to give you some of the things that work for me in my gym. I don't care where you're at. You can be in my backyard, down the street, or across the country. I want to help. But yes, having SOPs for every aspect of your business is a critical play. And that's not just the gym business. That's most businesses. Most businesses don't have SOPs. And I'm going to tell you a big secret, guys. It is the hardest thing you'll ever do. It is one of the hardest things that business owners will ever do. And most business owners are not even thinking about it, especially gym owners are not even thinking about it. So the fact that even if you're thinking about it and you're hating it and it's fucking frustrating and all that, at least you're thinking about it and starting to do it.
But one of the best feelings after you go through it, because we're going through it all over the place
every day
right now.
Yeah.
In multiple businesses. But when when you find that groove, it's like, wow, this flow's working now. It's like, oh shit, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Not saying that 2 weeks from now you might have to switch something up with it, but you're getting closer every time you do that, and things will get exponentially better.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you said, if you don't have that, we talked about this before, like chaos even if you're a person who's good living in the chaos,
yep.
it all that creates is what?
more chaos,
more fucking chaos. Like all like there, it's undeniable.
And even like we had a text today about the process of signing one-on-ones up, right? Even today, like as the group chat say, hey, we need to have a coach involved. There I go again. As a business owner, I didn't put out the SOP. I didn't say exactly. It's been here, and I've been managing it. It's been up in my head.
And we've just been doing it off the cuff, and like this works, and get everybody's in touch, and it's like, oh, well, it's not always a given.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I put exactly what you need to do in that situation so that it doesn't get misconstrued, right? But that's big, man. SOPs, start building them a day. Here's a hack: build one every day. Just do one SOP every day. Bigger hack: have your personnel write your own SOPs. Whatever job description they're doing, have them write them down, have them get them on something. They're living documents, they're living and breathing things, so you can come back and always fix them and always get them fine-tuned to what your business looks like. But that's going to be critical for where you're going to grow with your business. Another thing that is a must, and this is the one that I just pound my head over and over and over again, is marketing. Two things you got to do to master business. You got to be able to close sales. And you got to be able to bring people in to close those sales. You have to market. And gym owners, you are not as important and as big as you think you are. Okay. Now let me be very clear on who I'm talking to. Right. I'm not talking to the world-renowned gyms. Okay, that we all hear all the times. You know, the American top teams, the Greg Jacksons, or all the Henzo Gracies. Like, I'm not talking to these huge gyms that are world renowned that everyone knows, right? They have definitely dialed in their system. They are the industry leaders, right? The gyms that you hear about all the time competing in the biggest leagues and that people go to for all of the stuff, those are and I don't know, they could have their own internal problems. I'm sure they do. But they're not who we're talking to. We're talking to the 90% of gyms, and I'm throwing that number out there, but I'm just assuming majority of your gyms are gyms that are just here on your local shopping center. You know, here your standalone building, some, barn that's been converted to a dojo or a pole building. We're talking about the majority of the people and the majority of the gym owners that are on ground zero trying to build a business, trying to figure it out, trying to grow. That's who we're talking to. And when it comes to marketing, you have to market and tell people what you do. You're not as big or as important as you think you are. I know for us, we have 8,000 plus members, maybe more here at Pure Fitness. Mm-hmm. We have, roughly 350 members at our gym right now. So for us, it's easy to get caught up in thinking that everybody knows you. But in a populace of 32,000 people in a county of 200,000, there's still people that don't know about Pure Fitness or where it's located, or even about the Civic Center.
And that goes for all kinds of business. I've worked in places where people they come in and like, yeah, I drive by here all the time. And I'm like, this place has been here for 30 years. You've never, like, yeah, I didn't know, I forgot, whatever the case is. So, and here's something else too. You were talking about the people, like gyms have been around, these world renowned places. So they have time in, they've got however many years. I mean,
decades.
Yeah, exactly. 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? They're, the traditional and flagship and all those words. If you're now, even within the past couple of years, and you don't jump on some of these things you're talking about, it's not going to happen because everything is so accelerated. Mm-hmm. Just think about where everything is now versus, again, time in, name builds, traditional methods, all that good stuff, word of mouth, thousands and thousands of people over time. You're starting something out now. It's like if you don't adapt to what you need to do in this time, it's like that wave's passing you.
No, 100%. And when you say accelerated, I mean, it's going by the day of acceleration. It's no longer what it used to be. And, again, it's one of those things where, these gym owners, man, I see it all the time. I see it here locally. They're so worried about the wrong things. You know what I mean? I've made so many mistakes, man. Trust me. You know what I mean? I've made a bunch of mistakes. One of the mistakes I've made is I've thought that in this space, the tough guy space and the combat sports world, I thought a couple things. One, I thought we were all friends and everybody was cool, right? I thought what people say on the mats and how they conduct themselves in the gym is, how we're all supposed to be. And, it's business. It's business, and it's a business of ego and all kinds of things, right? So I learned quickly that not everybody's your friend and not everybody has your best intentions. I also learned quickly that when you're coming up, it's all good. Everybody's rooting for you, everybody's supporting you. But once you start showing signs of success,
Right.
and again, this is what their eyes see as success, not necessarily what you may equate to success, because I can tell you right now, I am nowhere near where we want to be.
No.
I'm not running around. Look, I'm coming to you guys as an operator, as somebody still in the trenches, still in the mix, not somebody who's sitting on his hill counting his, money, no, I'm still in the mix. I'm just building just like anybody else. Okay. I've got 15 years experience in the mixed martial arts business. I've got 10 years of ownership. Okay. So I'm not in this world of coming to you guys from a place of, like these influencers do, like to sit in front of Lamborghinis. This is how you run a business. Never ran a business in their fucking life. I'm coming to you as an operator, somebody on ground zero. But I've spent too much time defending my gym or sticking up for our gym or worried about what everybody else says. Because now that they think that I'm successful because they see the expansion of the gym and the ring and the cage and all the cool stuff, and they see the image on social media and the marketing, that's when they start to hate and start to talk shit. And I've made the mistake of focusing on too much of that. You know what I mean? I just something this weekend. You know what I mean? We had I had a post one time that I put up, and it was a post that I was drawing my line in the sand, right? And it was a dick move. I'll admit it. It was switch to your combat sports gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was an asshole move.
Yeah, 100%, right? But I didn't do it to market for people. We had a gym here locally. So that's the other thing. It's funny is nobody wants to you're not supposed to poach students, but everybody does it, oddly enough. But then when I go out here and put up a post and say, hey, well, you want war? Let's go to war. Oh, I'm the bad guy, right? But this thing sprung legs from 3 years ago, just recently. Like they started commenting on it over the weekend again from 2 or 3 years ago. And it's crazy. But my point is I put that post out, and again, I knew it was a no-no. It was just for a weekend. I sponsored the ad. I wanted to say, hey, if you want to go to war, let's go to war. And I put a video out that people seem to have amnesia about.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Expressing that.
After that happened, I do remember you're like,
100%.
well, I did it, and this is why I did it.
And I bring up Mike Stewart's name again. Shout out to Mike, because Mike called me up right away. Barely knows me, just knows where. He's like, bro, that ain't the move. I'm like, I know, Mike. I'm telling you. He's like, bro, that's it tarnished your brand. But these motherfuckers, and then he's like, dude, if you want to go to war, that's a clear call. I ain't want to go to war. Huge mistake, right? But at the same time, you still have to market your brand, right? And with me, so I've made mistakes in marketing. I've made great strides in marketing. Either way, people need to know about you, right? And people need to know who you are, what you do, and what you're good at, right? And people don't want to do that. Business owners, gym owners, they don't want to do that. Or they put the same, they do the same marketing that blends in with every other MMA gym, right? I got news for you guys. If you're doing the same shit everyone else is doing, you're not going to stand out, because everybody's marketing, everybody's on social media, everybody's doing the same thing. You have to do something that makes your business unique and stands out. And the fun fact, before you get to that, and the fun fact is everybody's sitting here trying to figure out what it is that makes them so unique. Bro, you are what makes you so unique. It's so basically simple. What you do on a daily basis and who you are as a gym owner or business owner. Dude, I cannot like a handful of the gym owners in my space. I still much respect and appreciate what they're doing for their students in the culture. I don't agree with them. Some of them I don't even like, but I still don't want to hate or judge what they're doing for the culture. You know what I mean? Because you're still, to whatever sick point you're trying to make, you're still helping out people that need this business.
Yeah.
But when you're worried about what other people are doing on the marketing side, instead of focusing on your own, and that was the point of the whole ad thing mistake I made, is it takes away the growth of what you're doing for your own business. And I've made that mistake many times. Finally, I just said a year ago, I'm just taking my ball home and I'm not playing no more. And my business has thrived 10x since.
Well, yeah, and I was to say what's funny too, because you hear shit all the time, and stuff gets bad, whatever. But if it was just about the money and all about the money, I mean, there could have been a lot of people signed up, but I've heard you tell more people, no, fix what you have going on with your coaches or your gym, or I don't know if this is a good fit, or whatever the case is, and never have signed somebody up that, and again too, if you don't want to be here, you don't want them here for one, but if it was about, you could have taken every one of those people and signed them up. But but that didn't happen, because you also have to protect the culture as well. And
Excellent
I
segue.
think maybe a lot of places don't do that because as much as they want to say, oh, you guys are about the money. Well, if 10 people showed up at your place, we'd probably sign them up with no ifs, ands, or buts or questions.
Well, anybody,
and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not, like, whatever, do you? But I think there's some of the differences there.
I can assure you that anybody says that you're all about the money is broke. That anybody who says that they're broke. People that say it's all about the money, generally speaking, come from a scarcity broke mindset. You know, okay, let's put this in logistical terms. And it's a great segue. You have a special gift. You spent the years of being in combat sports. You know, it takes about average 8 to 10 years to become a black belt in jiu-jitsu, right? It's why they call you professor, right? You've taken the time and the pain and all the injuries and all the time, hours, thousands upon hours to be able to become a jiu-jitsu black belt. Now you start running a business where you take all of the blood, sweat, and tears, the sacrifice, the risk, all of the scrutiny, the criticism, the time away from your family, all the things that you have to do as a jiu-jitsu black belt coach or whatever combat sports business owner now, right? Then you turn around and you figure it all out through trial and error, through humility, through learning, through more time that you're spending, and now you're starting to make money and you're becoming successful, right? Don't be scared of, don't lack worthiness when it comes to money. In other words, a lot of us that are in that space came from humble beginnings, and because we came from humble beginnings, we don't think we deserve success. There's a subconscious fear inside of our head that we don't think we deserve success, that we don't think we're worthy of the checks that we're cashing or the money that we're coming. So we'll figure out a way to either blow it or fuck it up or, you know, whatever, give it away, however it happens. So at the end of the day, when you know that you've worked hard, you know that you're delivering a good product, you know that you're helping people, you know that you're pouring a lot of your time into it, you deserve to be successful in this space. You deserve to be rewarded handsomely for your face, for your skill. It kills me that gyms will market all these black belts and all these guys and gals that are so decorated and so this, but still charge white belt prices. Right? Still undercut the entire market. Like, you're undercutting the entire market space. And I mean, full transparency, a lot of these motherfucking gyms ain't gyms. They're not businesses. Excuse me. A lot of these places, these martial arts academies and places, they're not businesses. They're clubs. A lot of them don't even pay taxes. A lot of them aren't even registered. I know. I look it all up. I know who's out there, and you know who you are. So, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with building a club and having a space for people to train.
Again, it goes back. If that's your intention, you're transparent about it,
correct,
and that's what somebody wants versus what else is out there.
But don't come out here hating on me or hating on the next gym, and don't come out here trying to undercut people in pricing or all this shit, and you're not even paying your fucking taxes. You're not even a legitimate business. That was another reason why I took my ball home. I'm not gonna. Could you imagine being in business in a gym space, or any business for that reason? Can you imagine being in that? And with the expectations of helping so many people and growing and being so successful and then never growing.
No, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, but
not at all. Or going backwards.
Right.
But yet, you know what I mean? Constantly worried about what other people are doing and slandering other names. So again, I'm not saying this from a space. I've experienced it, and I've also made the mistake of, not the slander side, but I've also made the mistake of
playing into it.
Yep. And being that. Just take your ball home, focus on your members, your culture, create a good culture. Again, if it's not a good fit, then they don't need to be there. Not all money's good money. Not everybody you bring into your gym is good, and worth being in there. And protect the culture, and go after success. You deserve to be paid for this stuff. You built a brand, or you built yourself up in so many ways in martial arts. You deserve to be paid for it. And I'm not saying you have to rip people off like the old, traditional martial arts people, like Mike was saying, or anybody else. But you deserve fruits for your labor. And you deserve to be rewarded handsomely. And if you've got the credentials, then you need to be charging for that, because this is an ever-evolving sport. We're growing and blowing up at crazy rates. And I just think that it's a travesty when you have, people that come out here and fuck the market up by undercutting, which it happens in all business, but fuck the market up by undercutting and then bitch about why they're not successful or what everybody else is doing. It's crazy.
And it's everybody else's fault.
It's the whole victim mentality. Yeah, 100%.
But you had mentioned too about basically putting everything online. You're every cent you have, the hours, family sacrifices, all of it. And then when you get to a point where you're doing, let's say you're doing okay. You're not killing it. You're not, you know what I mean? It's, and people still have us, well, who does he or she think they are? It's like, come on, you've put in, you have sacrificed for it. So, I mean, there's worse ways of making money.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. To me, it's just a weird place to come from. It's easy to attack, people, places like that, but I don't get it.
Yeah, no, me neither. Well, guys, there's so much more content and information that we want to go over in this episode, but unfortunately, we're out of time. We're going to do more of these where we're going to talk about how to grow your combat sports business. I don't want to come from some cheesy, I'm not hating, but I don't want to come from some place where we're like, oh, we got to do this, and say some sort of, pack online.
You can go to our website and sign up for just 3 easy installments of $49.95.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying. I'm here. We're here on Champ Talk to deliver value. So I promise you, Chet and I will come through with more of these educational purposes to help your combat sports gym, to help your gym, to help your business, whatever needed, and give you just perspective on what we go through and what we see on a daily basis.
And I will tell you, it's not limited to combat sports, martial arts.
Not at all.
So if you have questions, concerns, ideas, you hit us up with those too, because some of this stuff is kind of universal.
Absolutely. Again, guys, if you get value out of this episode, please like, subscribe, go to all platforms. We're all everywhere. Give us a review. Let us know. We live and die by those reviews, and we just appreciate you guys listening and tuning in and making it this far. Till next time, guys, what are you doing today to become a champion?